you're looking to remove a background of a photo, this video is for you. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to remove a background of an image in Photoshop. Whether you want to create a transparent background, replace the background with a different image, or isolate a subject of the photo, Photoshop has a variety of tools to help you achieve your desired outcome. So let's hop into Photoshop and I'll show you how to remove a background. Sometimes in Photoshop you'll get this little lock on your image. Just to make sure you don't run into any issues, I like to unlock it. So the first thing you want to do is make a duplicate of this layer. To do that, we're going to hit Command J, and now we have layer copy right here. So what we're going to want to do is focus on the top layer. So what I want to do is basically select my whole hand here holding the iPhone. So I'm going to hit W on my keyboard. Photoshop has some pretty good automatic selection, so you can hit select subject and it will guess what you want to select from the image. So let's see how good of a job it does on this one. Okay, and it actually did pretty good. So from here now, what you can do is hit select and mask. It's going to pop up this window where you're able to refine your selection. What I like to do is have this red color highlighting the subject that I want to remove from the image. So, and there's a couple different things you can do. If you don't like that, you can use the marching ants on black, on white, black and white, on layers. So I just normally like this red overlay here, it's just easy for me to see. So what I'm going to do to refine my selection is use a brush. So I'm just going to hover over here to my brush tool, or you can hit B, and I'm going to make it a little bit larger. And I think this is showing up on here, so I don't want this part selected. Therefore I'm going to hold down Alt and paint this part out. But now that I don't see it painting out, it should be good, so it's not in our image. But if I were to deselect from my hand, you'll see now that part is not going to be selected. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to hit layer mask on the output. Hit OK from here. And now you can see we have two layers, but this layer has a layer mask. Deselect the bottom layer, you can see the hand is just in frame. So now if you want to add maybe a different background or a solid color, you're able to simply choose a color that you'd like and make that your background. So you wanted a green, you can go here, and so on and so forth. A little darker. And you can also move around this layer too as well. So if you wanted it to come from here, something like that, be able to adjust. So let's just say we're going to start over again here. Instead of hitting select subject, you can go to select and mask. And there's a couple different ways that you can select this portion. You can manually paint where you want to keep. I find this is a little bit tedious, but if you want to be super selective, it's really easy to use. Once you use it more, you'll get the hang of how the brush flows and whatnot. We have a couple other things here. We can use the quick selection tool, and I'm going to make it larger by hitting the right bracket. So it brings it in, and if you want to make it smaller, go with the left bracket. So I'll just make it a little bit bigger, and I'm going to click and drag a little bit out, and it's automatically selecting the area that it thinks I want to choose. This is called the object select tool. So if you hover over any of these brushes, it will show you how it works. And that's another thing I like about Photoshop. It makes it easy to use. So we're going to click the object selection. So now what I'm going to do is make a box around this area here, drag, and then I let go. And Photoshop is going to select the subject. But as you can see, this kind of picked up the car in the background. So if I wanted to fix that, I just would hit the brush and then hit Alt and go in and paint that away so we don't see that in our image. And one last thing I forgot to mention is you can use this feather tool here to smooth out your selection. So I don't like usually going anywhere over 0.5. So let's keep it at 0.4 and make sure our output is to layer mask. Hit OK. Now deselect that. And if you want to just have this with a transparent background, maybe you want to add this image to a thumbnail or anything in Canva, something like that. I'm going to hit File, come down to Export, Export As, and then in here we're going to make sure, so underneath File Settings, make sure your format stays at PNG. If you don't have PNG selected, it will be a JPEG, and you can see in this image now it's going to add a background like this, so you won't get the solid subject alone. So to make sure the subject is soloed out, hit PNG. So if you don't see this checkerboard on the background of your image when you go to export it, it's not going to be transparent. So hit export, save it to wherever you want to save your image to. So now here's your transparent image, and you can do whatever you want with this because the background is taken away and your subject is the only thing selected. Now let me just show you, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult if you're selecting a person and the hair is not straight or just a little bit curly or things like that. I'm going to hit Command J, select our subject. I'm going to drag here over the image. Didn't really make the cleanest selection, so what I'm going to do is hit the brush, just kind of paint over the areas here. You can see it made a pretty good selection around like my shoulders here, hands. The sweater's perfect, but you can see the hair here. If I paint over it, now I'm getting some of that wall. So what I want to do to refine this selection is go up into this area. It's called Refine Hair. And now Photoshop is going to go around and refine the mask around my hair so you don't see too much of the wall in the back. Now I'm going to go here, and you can kind of tell that this is not needed, so I'm going to hit Alt and just take this little part away here. And if you don't want to use that refine hair tool, a refine edge brush here, so I would use that. It's a little bit small, so I'm just going to make it larger here. And you can go around the edge of the hair and go like that. It's going to take it all away, but what it's doing is just going to refine that little detail in between the hair and the background, so when you go to remove it, it looks smoother. So I think that's a pretty good job. At the top here, I notice a little bit more. Take that out. And even up here, I'm just going to kind of fix that up there. And here as well. Okay. Making sure that we have layer mask selected in our output. Going to hit OK. Deselect our bottom layer. And as you can see, it's masked us out from the background. If you zoom in, you can kind of tell that this part up here of the hair got a little bit left out, so I'm going to double click on my layer mask, and this is something you can do to just refine it. So once you've made your selection, take away the background, see how it looks, and then just fill in any gaps. I don't like what it's doing here, so I'm going to add a brush, a solid brush, and brush this back in. So I think I'm not selecting the edge enough, so let's just paint this back right around here. This area. Click that. And then this here. So now I'm going to go back to the refine edge and just really hit these edges over here instead of more in the middle of my hair there. So now say you want to export this as a PNG image, you would just hit File, then come down to Export, Export As, and make sure the format, the file setting is saved as a PNG. Congratulations! You have successfully removed the background of an image in Photoshop. With some practice, you'll be able to master this technique and create professional looking images with ease. I'm the Creative Fro, keeping you in the know. I'll see you next time for another video.